Hey guys, this is Undercover Dudes all the way from Down Under, and today I'll be talking about the top 10 free-to-play Battle Royale games of 2018, featuring a ton of new Battle Royale games that you probably have never seen before. So let's get right into it by skipping to the number 8 spot, and I'll talk about number 9 and 10 a little bit later on in the video. Starting off this list, we have H1Z1, not the first Battle Royale game, but the one that originally took the world by storm. It recently went free to play along with the introduction of a new mode called Auto Royale in an effort to boost player numbers. Your teammates can shoot at the side of the car and they can get injured and downed but not killed, so the only way to completely eliminate an enemy team is to go and destroy their vehicle. It's a sweet twist on a popular mode, and there's always normal H1Z1 if the vehicle combat isn't to your taste. Warface is a free-to-play first-person shooter that was released in 2013, and recently a new Battle Royale mode was developed into the game. In my review of this mode, I was quite critical of it due to the very basic implementation. You spawn at a random place in an extremely small map, you pick up guns, and you shoot. I originally thought of this as a negative, but I can definitely feel it's a positive, because Warface Battle Royale is really easy to pick up and extremely fast paced, and I know a lot of people out there like those type of games. Now, rather than being a completely separate game, it's more so an additional mode, with matches lasting less than 5 minutes and fights being really quick. When you're done with the Battle Royale mode, then you can go and play Team Deathmatch or Co-op or Search and Destroy or Free-for-all or all the other modes that Warface goes and has. So it's more so, it doesn't specialize in Battle Royale, but it's just an addition to an already established game. Rules of Survival is a straight clone of PLAYERUNKNOWN's Battlegrounds in basically every single way. There is no other way to go and explain this game. It's not bad, but it simply copies everything that PUBG goes and does, but the execution is not the best. Now, originally Rules of Survival was a mobile only game, but it's now available on the PC for a simple download. Now, Rules of Survival is the first of 2 games on this list that are extremely similar to PUBG, so make sure to watch this video to the very end to find out the second, arguably better game. Now we have Horizon Source, and I love this game because it's such stupid fun. It's made by a Chinese development team who just ripped off PUBG, Fortnite and Overwatch into one game, and it actually goes and works. How, you may ask? Well, let's go and break it down. 1. It takes inspiration from PUBG and Fortnite in terms of its map design, a large sprawling island with small cities. 2. The building mechanic is identical to Fortnite, with walls, ramps and floors being able to be built. 3. There are 6 heroes that are almost identical to heroes that you can find in Overwatch or Paladins. Now, despite this game being a complete rip-off, the execution is decent and the hero aspect in a Battle Royale game is neat, especially with the Fortnite building and the option to play in third and first person perspectives. I know people go and say that Warface is better than Horizon Source, but this game has a load of personality and is just really fun to go and play, and I'll definitely be making a separate video on this game very soon, so make sure to go and subscribe for that. Talking about personality, the next game delivers in troves, and that's Radical Heights, which is created by the developers of Lawbreakers, Boss Key Productions. So let's get into it. What is Radical Heights all about? You drop in, pick up guns and armor, kill enemies and try to be the last man standing. By killing enemies, destroying cash registers, etc., drop cash, which you can go and use to buy weapons from weapon dispensers. Furthermore, matches go and link to each other, as you can go and put cash into a bank account, and then you go and hop into another game and you can go and pull that cash out in order to go and buy weapons a little bit earlier than you normally would. It's not overpowered, but it's a cool twist on the whole Battle Royale mode. In terms of gameplay, despite the basic movement and brutal shooting mechanics, it's fun to go and play Radical Heights. The quirkiness of the game shines through while you're playing, with great 80s throwbacks in the setting of a TV show. It's fun to experience, but not too in your face. Now, Radical Heights might not be the right game for a lot of people, but it caters to the crowd that wants the arcadiness from Fortnite, but the straight gunplay and lack of building from PUBG. Combine it together, have a really niche aesthetic, and overall, that's what Radical Heights is all about. If we're talking about unique games within the Battle Royale genre, the Darwin Project definitely tops the list. Set in an ice age with the participants being part of a game show, the 10 players have to fight to the death, under the gaze of the show director who can have a very big effect on the match. In comparison to other Battle Royale games, the art is extremely beautiful and the combat matches this too. focusing on medium range bow fights and close range hammer swings. The gameplay is more tactics and timing based, which could be a breath of fresh air to some players. Now, the Darwin Project recently went free to play, so definitely show this game some support because it goes and deserves it, doing something different while keeping it fun and fair. Come on, it can't be a top 10 free-to-play Battle Royale list without Fortnite, and I'm sure some of you guys are quite surprised it isn't taking the #1 spot. Fortnite is the king of the Battle Royale genre right now, and for good reason. It's just so entertaining to play. Gunplay, building, silliness, it's got it all, and honestly, I don't have to go and talk about it much longer because I think everybody has gone and played it. But with that said, if you're one of the people that haven't played Fortnite Battle Royale and you want to go and check out the game, there is a sponsored link in the description below. If you download Fortnite Battle Royale using that link, I get a very significant kickback, so it really helps out the channel, especially being a university student, so I would definitely appreciate it. Alright. So before we get to the #1 spot, let's talk about the two games that share the #10 spot and the secret #9 game. Sharing the #10 spot are Infestation, the New Z, and Last Man Standing. I mention these games now because, well, they're not that good, but people still go and play them. They're laggy, buggy, and pay to win, and not exactly games I would go and recommend to play, to be perfectly honest. They have their perks, but the downsides definitely outweigh the positives. And from there, you guys would be asking, why are you including these games in this list in the first place? I did it because I wanted this list to be a complete record of every free-to-play Battle Royale game you can play right now. Now, of course, I'm not going to be including all the mobile games, and then all the Roblox games, and then all the .io and the browser games. There's so many going to include. But any game that has a solid player base, a good development team behind them, and of course, a good concept, of course, I'm going to go and include it to put all the cards on the table, and you guys can go and pick which game you want to go and play. So what about the #9 spot? Well, that's for Paladins Realm Royale. If you guys watched my previous list, this Battle Royale Paladins mode was called Paladins Battlegrounds, but for some reason, Hi-Rez decided to go and split the game from the main version of Paladins and create a completely separate game. The concept is pretty simple. You take a select number of Paladins champions and you chuck them into a Battle Royale mode. Now, this game is currently in closed alpha, so I haven't actually had a chance to play it yet, but come on, it must be better than Infestation, the New Z, and Last Man Standing, and that's why I went and gave it the #9 spot. So with all of that said, let's check out the #1 game, and that's Rings of Asylum, the true free-to-play PUBG game. From first impressions, the game definitely feels like a rip-off, from the menus, to the inventory tab, even to the weapons map in UI. But in terms of the way the game plays out, Rings of Asylum is definitely more casual than PUBG, but its responsive movement and shooting mechanics is something that is really desirable. Now, one of the big reasons I personally don't play PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is that the gameplay just feels slow and sluggish. I like fast-paced games and I like my characters to be responsive. I hit the button, they move instantly. And PUBG just doesn't go and provide that experience. ROE, it goes and provides that experience in spades. It's definitely arcadey, but the combat is still on point and frantic, a definite contender for the best combat in a Battle Royale game. Now, another reason I don't like PUBG is that the minimum requirements are just too high. You need a supercomputer to go and run the game at a decent frame rate. ROE doesn't have this problem, with the minimum requirements being an Intel Core i3, 4GB of RAM, and an Nvidia GeForce GTX 450, which is an extremely old card. Overall, you don't need a good computer to go and run this game, and thus it could definitely compete versus Fortnite. PUBG is that game that is very difficult to go and run, but a lot of people go and play it. Fortnite is a game that a lot of people go and play, but not necessarily at a good frame rate. The game definitely isn't optimized, and overall, I'm still running at like 150 FPS, which, oh, you're bragging, UCD, but for my computer, I should definitely be hitting high FPS, and back in the day, man, my FPS was even lower. For Rings of Elysium, I'm hitting a lot higher FPS numbers, and that's fantastic because free to play, it's generally a genre that caters towards people that don't have a lot of money and therefore don't have really good computers. So therefore, if you make a game that has very low requirements in a booming genre like this, I feel like ROE could definitely go and pop off and be that third Battle Royale game that really go and have a great audience. Furthermore, I feel like this game can go and steal players from both PUBG and Fortnite. For PUBG, if you don't have a good enough computer and you're lagging, this is a natural choice. but also if you don't like the brutal mechanics where one mistake and you can be dead. Then you have a look at Fortnite. The game has a really big emphasis on building, and a lot of people don't like that, but they like the casual aspect of that the game is based off. RAE goes and provides in spades that more casual experience, but without the building. It's basically a match made in heaven. However, the problem with RAE is that the game is only available in Thailand right now, but there are in-depth tutorials on YouTube if you want to go and download the game. When this game gets an official North American and European release, I can definitely feel like there's going to be a really big buzz around this game, and I feel like it'll go and steal people from Fortnite and PUBG, as I explained before. Hopefully guys enjoyed this top 10 list, and make sure to go and subscribe if you want more videos like this. We're closing in on 100k subscribers, and I'll definitely appreciate your help. But other than that, it's Undercover Dudes all the way from Down Under, out.